Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. And great that, hope you're great. The weather you have is great too. Here it isn't so great. It's cloudy and it rained most of the morning. But I don't know. It's Friday. We expected, I guess better weather, but who knows. We'll probably get some more later, maybe over the weekend. Maybe not. Weekends are usually a mixed bag of different things. So, excuse me here while I flip pages here. I have a video, actually a couple of videos, and this first one here comes from Occupy Democrats. And what happened here is there was an ICE raid in Oklahoma. I can't remember the city now, but it was in the state of Oklahoma. Raided this house. I guess it's a rent. It's a rental house, I guess. They just moved in there. 2 weeks later, they get raided by ICE, and apparently it was a mistake because being that it's a rent, they were after somebody who maybe lived there before they moved into it, and because they were still getting mail at that address. Who knows? But they went in there, kicked the goddamn door in. Like it was like 12:30 in the morning, and scared the living shit out of this woman and her three girls. Her husband, he was supposed to hook up with them a little bit later because they moved from Maryland and they went to Oklahoma. But yeah, anyway, let's go to this video here and hear more about it. So let's go to that.
Trump's blatant, lawless behavior amps up. I think it's really normal for a lot of people, including me, to think, yeah, that's scary when reading about it, but it's never going to actually happen to me. It's never really going to affect any of us, right? Well, think again, because Trump's ICE just invaded the wrong home, and then all hell broke loose. How's it going? My name is Hunter Avalone with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, Donald Trump's insane, reckless behavior honestly is only just beginning. It's hard to believe that Trump has been president for only 100 some days. It genuinely feels like it's already been years. And I know I'm not the only one concerned about this, as a recent exclusive survey found that the majority of people surveyed do believe that Donald Trump is behaving like a dictator. 52% agree that President Trump is a, quote, dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. But it's not just Trump behaving like a dictator. Members of his administration are also acting unhinged. For example, Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, recently claimed that Fox News should fire the pollsters, all because Trump's approval rating was bad.
New Fox News poll shows that the border has been one of your big successes. The cross-border illegal traffic has been reduced by 96%. Illegal aliens reduced into this country reduced by 99.99%. On this Fox News poll, President Trump gets big marks on that, 55% approval. He's about even on immigration in total, but everything else, he's sort of underwater. And particularly on the economy, tariffs, and inflation, he's well underwater. You've still got some work to do on that front. A lot of people think that he's spending too much time on tariffs and not enough time on the economy and lowering prices. What do you say?
Well, I don't want to make things awkward for you, John, but it is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that.
Genuinely embarrassed for the Trump administration here. I mean, talk about being a sore loser, right? You don't like the result of the numbers given, so you want to fire the messenger? So Trump's attack on media is very fascistic and worrisome in and of itself, but Trump is also completely neglecting due process. Recently, however, a Democratic voter went on Fox News to explain the importance of due process. And even though he was nervous, he did quite a good job at challenging the host.
Taking away due process from folks is not okay. He's quick to call out when he feels like his rights are being infringed upon, and yet the Fifth Amendment says that every person, it doesn't specify citizens, it says every person shall have due process.
Where are you seeing that due process? I mean, to even get to that point, they must have gone through process.
Due process. Okay, so let's look at President Trump as an example. We call him a felon because he has been convicted of felonies. Some of these folks, without the actual due process, do not technically qualify as illegal immigrants because they have never had their cases heard.
Speaking of due process and legitimate accusations, things just got so much worse because Donald Trump's ICE just raided the wrong home, and then all hell broke loose.
A family traumatized after armed federal agents busted into their home as they were sleeping and took almost everything they own. Problem is, they were not the people agents were supposed to be looking for.
News 4's Spencer Humphrey is here with their frightening ordeal. Spencer, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, get this. That family just moved here about 2 weeks ago from out of state, and this is how their life in Oklahoma got started. They say they told federal immigration agents they had the wrong people, but those agents kept treating them like criminals, even though they're all U.S. citizens. Fear.
Because I did feel at times I felt I was going to die.
So much fear.
I kept praying. I said, God, please let me live through this moment.
Humiliation.
I was a zero. I was nothing.
Pure disbelief.
I just couldn't understand, how is this happening to us?
All just for wanting a fresh start.
You come to Oklahoma and you get treated like this. For what?
This woman, who we're calling Marissa, and her 3 daughters came to Oklahoma from Maryland looking for a slower, more affordable pace of life. They rented this house in a nice, seemingly safe northwest Oklahoma City neighborhood. Her husband planned to join them this past weekend, but any semblance they had of comfort went out the window when 20 men armed to the teeth busted through it Thursday morning.
I don't know who they were. They had guns. It was dark. All the lights were off.
They were federal agents, Marissa says, with the U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI.
And I kept asking them, like, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happening? And they said, we have a warrant for the house.
They ordered Marissa and her daughters outside into the rain before they could even get dressed.
They wanted me to change in front of all of them, in between all of them.
The thing is, the suspect names on that search warrant were not Marissa's or anyone in her family's. They were, however, names listed on mail still arriving at the house. Former residents, perhaps.
We just moved here from Maryland. We're citizens. That's what I kept saying. We're citizens.
She says they didn't care.
We weren't criminals. Why were they treating us like criminals? We were here by ourselves. That we didn't do anything.
The agents ripped apart every square inch of the house, taking their phones, laptops, documents, and their life savings in cash as evidence.
Like, I have to feed my children. I'm gonna need gas money. I need to be able to get around. Like, how do you just leave me like this, like an abandoned dog?
And when they left, they told her something.
I know it was a little rough this morning. It was so denigrating. Like, you do all of this to a family, to women, your fellow citizens, and it was a little rough. You have literally traumatized me and my daughters for life.
This family has virtually nothing.
And I said, when are we gonna get our stuff back? He was like, it could be days or it could be months.
Nothing but questions.
Well, what if I would have been armed? What if you're breaking in? What am I supposed to think? My initial thought is we were being robbed. My daughters, my female daughters being kidnapped.
Nothing but likely lifelong trauma.
We have guns pointed at our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans? as women, a little bit of mercy and care a little bit about your fellow human mate, about your fellow citizen, like fellow resident. We bleed too. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We were scared. You could see in our faces that we were terrified.
And Marissa told us the agents wouldn't even leave her a business card. She says she has no idea who to contact to get her things back. We reached out to the FBI. They told us they were simply assisting on this case and that we'd need to contact Homeland Security. A spokesperson for Homeland Security told us they'll look into it and get back with us. Well, we checked back today and nobody responded.
I really am at a loss for words. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like I said at the beginning, you never think this kind of thing is going to happen to you. These people were U.S. citizens, now traumatized because of Donald Trump's delusional war on undocumented immigrants. Again, undocumented immigrants contribute greatly to this economy. Undocumented immigrants commit less crime on average. Undocumented immigrants are not a problem. I can tell you right now that if we want to start deporting people to make America better, Donald Trump, you can be first in line.
The fact that they knew they made a mistake after they finally admitted and found out, okay, it's another situation where, oops, we sent, like with Abrego Garcia, they know they did wrong, but they're not going to do anything to correct the wrong that they did. They took stuff from her. They took her cell phones, took her laptops, took her life savings in cash. I mean, why wouldn't anyone think this was a fucking robbery? Okay? Think about it. These agents, when they raid places, sometimes they're wearing ski masks or something. They hide their identity. Okay? So why wouldn't somebody think that these people bursting into your house in the middle of the fucking night would start going through things, and at gunpoint no less, that this wasn't a fucking robbery? Just because they're ICE agents, that this wasn't a fucking robbery. What's the difference between what happened here and what would happen if it was a robber that broke into your house and did the exact same thing? There is no distinction. It's the same thing. It was a robbery, and the fact that they won't give her stuff back says that was a robbery. It was theft. What the hell do they need with her life savings? Okay? What the hell do they need with her laptop and her cell phones if they realize that, oops, this isn't the person we were looking for? And the fact that the media tried to contact, Homeland Security and the FBI, and they're getting the runarounds, shows that something ain't right here in Dodge. Okay, this is not right. These people should not be allowed to get away with that sort of thing. And, now she's traumatized. It's so bad so that they wouldn't even show her face in the fucking video, and she won't give her real name. Okay? Because she's afraid now. She thought she was going to move to a state that was going to be a little better, easier living, I guess. And nope. Welcome to Oklahoma. And I feel like, this is really, out of control. This is really out of control. You can't do blanket raids like this in this country and not get some kind of fallout from it. You can't. It's just, you can't do this. You can't continually do this. I mean, they shouldn't even be doing it in the first place, okay? Regardless of the fact that this time they had a warrant, but the way they executed that warrant was uncalled for. It was really outside the boundaries of, how law enforcement is supposed to work, okay? If you got a problem with these people, okay, why raid them in the middle of the fucking night? Why choose that time? And why go about it like you're storming into a fucking drug scene or something? Okay, why would you do that, like a drug raid? You know how you don't do that if you surround the goddamn house first, okay? That way there's no avenue of escape. There'll be no reason to have to go kick the fucking door in the way they did it, okay? That's overkill in how they did this. First of all, they should have went there, during the evening, not during the fucking early morning hours. Second of all, if they had their house surrounded, and then they could have prevented any means of escape. No, there would have been no way for anybody to get out, so there'd have been no fucking need to be all aggressive about it. Okay? So the way they execute this whole raid business is really outlandish, and it's overkill. It really is. Okay? Because if you come into a place like that, not only are you going to put yourself in danger from retaliation, but you could be going after somebody that you may not be completely 100% sure is really the person you're after. What if this woman was armed? You know? What if she was armed and she thought that, you know, like she said, this could have been an intruder. Well, yeah, it was an intruder, but it could have been a robber. Okay, breaking into my house. And if I was armed, I would have been shooting at him. And then do you think they would have cared if she was the person they were after or not? They'd have shot back and shot her dead. And then there'd have been 3 kids without a mother. Okay? You see how easy something like this can go from a mistake to a tragedy? This is not the way you handle things. I mean, who trains these fucking people anyway? Okay? You get better training in the military on how to deal with situations like this than ICE. Jesus, these people are like fucking cowboys and Indians with them. You know, it's like, Christ, they just can't wait to get that gun out there and put it in your face. You know, and then they go and they start thrashing through the house, knocking things over, breaking things, smashing windows. I mean, it's like, well, look, for Christ's sake, are you here to vandalize, or are you here to do your job by taking these people out? If they're illegals, then they are the ones you're supposed to be after, not the furniture, not the fucking money in the briefcase, not all this other stuff that you're doing. Okay, none of this has anything to do with ICE, with their mandate. Okay, to remove illegals from this country. You don't remove illegals and then steal everything they have. I mean, I know in some countries in the world, the police seem to do that sort of thing. I don't know if you realize that or not, but police sometimes, when they do a raid on a home or something, they're totally legal to go and grab stuff and take it, okay? Now, maybe that's where these ICE people come from. Maybe they're coming from one of these other countries or something that they're hiring, and they're bringing their habits here. I don't know. But they need to be reminded that, you know, anyone who works for law enforcement cannot also be a thief. Okay, you're not allowed to steal things. And if it's not on the warrant, it shouldn't be in your person. You know what I'm saying? If warrant doesn't call for you to start taking cash and phones and laptops, if it doesn't say anything like that in there, okay, then you shouldn't be grabbing it. And you shouldn't be trashing the place either, because it's not their property. It's not your property. It belongs to somebody else who's renting that place. So who's going to reimburse them for the damage you do to that house? Okay? You see what I'm saying? How much trouble these people create in their haste to try to get rid of people they don't like? You see what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. This is Gestapo crap. This is what they used to do when they would go after Jews. They'd steal all their fucking belongings. They'd throw shit out the window. They'd round them up, you know, and send them to some concentration camp. This is exactly the same fucking thing. Okay? This is America's Gestapo, ICE. And the way they function, you would think these people were just their first day on the job. Okay? I don't see training involved here with these people. I don't see any procedure. I don't see any step-by-step things here that needs to be done to get a situation solved. Not like when you watch a video about cops arresting somebody for drunken driving. You can tell the steps they've taken, okay, that they are trained. You could see the training in action, okay, and the phases they go through all the way up to the, you know, walking along a straight line, touching your nose, all these things you can see it play out, that you know there is a standard that these cops are trained to do. With ICE, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I see these people just randomly getting a phone call and saying, go to this place and get them out. Okay, any way you can. I mean, it's like calling a bounty hunter. Okay, bounty hunters act like this. Okay, they're very sloppy, you know. They don't think too much about what they're doing when they do it. Okay, and whatever happens, the collateral damage is acceptable. Okay, that's what you get when you hire a bounty hunter for something. Okay, that's what these ICE people are. They're nothing more than glorified bounty hunters. You know, because I don't see the training. I don't see any fucking tactics involved. It's just, overwhelm and, beat people, steal things, throw a bag over their head, cuff them, and then take them somewhere. Okay? Anybody else outside looking at that would think it was a mob hit or something. I mean, it looks like that. So I just feel like there really needs to be some discussion here about ICE in this country and explain to the people where they get their training, if at all. Okay? Some of these people might even be former military. I'm just guessing here. And if that's the case, then they're not bringing anything they learned in the military in this fucking situation here. Or at least they're not passing down any of their fucking training to other people getting recruited into this outfit. But it really needs to be said that this is not the way we should be conducting affairs in this country about illegals. I don't care how dangerous these people are. Okay, we gave the Branch Davidian people in Waco, Texas, more procedure than we're giving just regular average people here in their homes. Okay, so if we're going to treat cultists in a much better way than we're treating American or people that are American citizens or whatnot, then hey, obviously there's a lack of training, right? I mean, Christ, like I said, we gave those people in Waco months here to fucking do something, and it was only after that we went in there guns blazing, okay? But we don't do that here with ICE. ICE doesn't do that. Day one, it's fucking Hell City right on the first day, okay? That's what they do. And they go into the situation armed to the teeth, body armor, the works, okay? And they don't even know what they're stepping into, and it's like, look, if you guys did any surveillance before you did that, you could have saw her, moving her stuff in that house. She's only been there 2 weeks, okay? But instead of going there and staking the place out, you guys just followed a paper trail, and you assumed incorrectly that the people you were after were still there, that were still living there. But that was an apartment. It wasn't a home that somebody bought. It was a fucking apartment. So they probably caught wind that somebody was onto them, and they left. And these people just happened to move in right at the time, when the place was vacant. But, see, when it comes to an apartment, you got to be, extra careful about making sure that the people living there are the ones you're after, and it's not some new tenant that moved in. See, if they'd have done just a little bit of surveillance, they would have picked up and said, oh, you know what? There's this woman with 3 kids that just moved in over there. Is that the same people? They could have prevented the whole thing just by doing a little bit of a check there on residency. That's all they had to do, and they wouldn't have had to send these people in at 2, 12:30 in the fucking morning and busting up the goddamn place. They could have just sent one person over there and asked the lady a question, and she could have verified her identity with a driver's license or whatnot, and it would all been taken care of. But you see, that's ICE. They don't have training. They're just dingbats with guns. Okay, that's all they are. These people are thugs. Christ said half of them probably worked in the mafia, for Christ's sake. Maybe that's why Trump likes them so much, is because maybe they're all of the same caliber. But, what's going to happen is people, and, not that it's not already a problem, mind you. America is a very well-armed country. Very well-armed. More so than most of the countries on the planet here. Okay? And I understand that any situation even regular police goes into could possibly end up in gunfire. But there are steps to take that can, dilute that outcome if you know what you're doing. If you have the training, okay? Some of these people, in the way that they do stuff, is only going to encourage people to resist, okay? And because people resist being treated this way does not necessarily mean that they did anything wrong. It just means that they are protecting life and property. Like in this situation here, could have gone completely the other way. What if it had been somebody that wasn't who they were after, but had guns, and he takes out a shotgun, shoots one of these agents, and then he, like I said, He gets gunned down dead. And then come to find out, oh, by the way, it was the wrong guy. He was just defending his home. Do you think these ICE people would be in trouble for that? No, of course not. They get immunity for making mistakes that lead to a death. All right? And that's what I'm talking about. This could have easily gone in that direction. One of these days, it's probably going to happen. They're going to do this again, make a fucking mistake, and it's going to lead to a gunfight. And maybe an ICE agent or two might get killed, and that person that shot him will be shot dead. And then, you know, whatever the news media is allowed to report about it will be what they report. But certainly, if it ever got out that the person that they shot and killed was not the person that they were looking for, would really make this look bad. So this should look bad enough. That as far as, you know, they were just lucky that that woman wasn't armed. But I can guarantee you she probably will be now after this. You know, she'll probably find something, a gun, a shotgun or some damn thing. Because, you know, and you know, and I'm a person that doesn't like to see, you know, people having a gun that shouldn't have them. But since they're already out there, hey, you know, this like I said, you're sitting on a box full of dynamite and you're playing with matches. Okay, that's how smart ICE is being here about this. So when you don't have training, you make fuck ups like this on an immense scale, and until something blows up, that's when people will just ignore it until that, you know. So I just, like I said, it's very disappointing, and I feel bad for that lady and her kids. I doubt Trump. I doubt ICE feels bad about it, but I do. You're not going to get any sympathy from the assholes that did it. But it's really sad that, you know, this has happened, and now they're being dicks about it by giving her the runarounds and not giving her her stuff back. I mean, to me, that's theft. I mean, she ought to go to the police with that. Say, look, these people walked in here, stole all my shit, told me it was a mistake, and walked out with all my stuff. How do I know this just wasn't ICE people using their authority to commit a robbery? You know? All right, so let's go to a commercial break, and we'll come back with the other video.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Believe me, guys, I've tried all kinds of lifestyles, and I've only found true happiness in a life of burgers and fat.
After my husband tried the salt trick, I let him come in through the back door, and it was amazing. My plumber was over 60, but he left me with limp legs for 2 hours after doing that dirty trick you taught me. That's what my friend told me. Can you believe it? Don't drink salt water before bed unless you want to stay hard all night and make your wife spray like a fire hydrant. Yes, salt. Discovered by Harvard scientists, This 15-second trick has been proven to increase blood flow to the little guy by 342% in over 100,000 men. Forget pills, Kegels, and pumps that only cause embarrassment. This salt trick is natural, easy, discreet, and helps any man be ready whenever needed. As hard as a rock. Your only task will be to use this trick for just 15 seconds in the bathroom and watch the magic happen. It might sound strange, but I'm sure your wife or girlfriend will thank you for this. So pay attention, go to the kitchen and grab some salt. Here's the secret. Adult film stars have been using this trick for years. That's why they're always ready for 2, 3, or even 4 shoots in a row. And now you can too. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or over 60, the famous morning wood will be inevitable. Want to know how it works? I'll show you how to do it the right way. I recorded a free, uncensored, and very satisfying video at home. However, it will only be online today and only for the smartest. If you're ready, click the link in the description or the pinned comment and see for yourself. You'll thank me for this, but make sure to watch with headphones. As I mentioned, the video is uncensored and shows exactly how this trick works to make your partner as hard as a rock.
Holy fuck.
Were you just checking out her ass?
No, I wasn't.
You know what? Fuck this.
Wait, babe, calm down. Oh my god. Mary! I am sorry!
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, people. So, the next video here is from the iHip girls, and they're talking about how Fox trolled Trump, and now he is upset here, and some other things that are of concern to them. So let's go to that video here, and then we'll continue after.
You know things are bad in the Trump administration because Fox News can't spin it. They're giggling and laughing. The accomplishments are horrific. J.D. Vance is lying. And now we've had our first Trump firing. Let's start with, we have finally been revealed who is Big Balls.
Big balls. It's big.
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Couple things here. Number one, can you imagine owning a business or running a Fortune 500 company and saying, you know what, let's put Big Balls in charge and let's run around and call them Big Balls. And just imagine for a minute if Biden had an advisor at the State Department advising Anthony Blinken, his U.S. Secretary of State, named Big Balls. The meltdown, we would have to get a fire truck and 5 ambulances to get Jesse Waters and Sean Hannity to the hospital. But yet we're rolling around, we're joking. Okay, another thing. This guy says, well, I want to take chances. Everybody's so serious. Working for the government is serious. Taking people's benefits is serious. Taking food away from the most marginalized, poorest people, that's serious. Cancer research, it's serious. So we have this guy who is Elon Musk's Big Balls because he takes chances. Clearly, he's not old enough to, rent a car by himself. And we have this guy laughing it up with Elon Musk, who is just been the biggest disaster. And Jesse Waters, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the United States government. It's an embarrassment to every American. And just remember, Big Balls has access to every single bit of your private data. It's absolutely jaw-dropping. But here's what's even more jaw-dropping. Fox News cannot even tell you what Trump's accomplishments are. Here we have, this is what Fox News is listing. President Trump's accomplishment: declassified the JFK files, but might I remind you, not the Jeffrey Epstein files, because he's in those records. Ended federal support for paper straws. Are you fucking kidding me? And ended production of the penny. Now, they did forget he did change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So let's add that to him. And I'm like, this writes the script for the Democrats moving forward. This is what you accomplished. You tore down the American government. You made Canada hate us, basically withdrew us from NATO. It's unbelievable. You've got China that is pissed off beyond words. We've got all these tariffs. The economy's crashing, but at least no more federal support for paper straws. And then if it's not bad enough that paper straws is our biggest accomplishment, we've got even Brett Baier. I mean, even Brett Baier, whose lips go directly on the ass of Donald Trump at every turn. He can't even hide how bad the economy is. And then it's directly to be blamed on Trump and his tariffs.
Economy shrank. First time in 3 years. People are pointing to the tariff policy. There are people looking at their 401ks that are worried. What do you tell them? Is this going to work?
So the first thing is, when you talk about the economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and we inherited $2 trillion of debt,
in the world.
highest
Okay,
peacetime
stop.
deficits in America.
Okay, here's the deal. He inherited the best economy in the world. And the debt that Trump added in his first term is far larger than Biden. And what Trump wants to do, because he doesn't want to tax billionaires and corporations, is going to send the debt even further. That's why he's so adamant in his big, beautiful bill to lift the debt ceiling. So JD Vance, you're a liar. And Fox News, your viewers are finally seeing just a tiny bit of truth. I know you like to, wrap it all up, but there's a tiny bit of truth there. So next, we're going to talk about the Mike Walls firing. It's the first one. He's the first one to go in the Trump administration. We know it's a revolving door of employees. Honestly, I'm surprised we made it through the first 100 days with the same people that started. But Mike Walls, if you recall, is the one that invited the Atlantic reporter on the bomb war plans group chat on Signal. He does the fist bump emojis when it's talking about fighter jets. In my opinion, Pete Hegseth should have been the first to go, but I think Mike Waltz was the first to go. And I'll get into that later because he got loomered. But here is Mike Waltz just 24 hours before he got fired, kissing Trump's ass.
President, the last 4 years, the world experienced a total lack of zero leadership under Biden. And then we've had 100 days of your leadership with respect, with strength.
I mean, you're a dumbass. You were always going to take the fall because he's too embarrassed to replace his handpicked Fox News anchor. So you're the first to go. So he's out. Here's my question. This is his guy. This is his first guy. How bad is number 2? I mean, the B team has got to be horrific if this is the A team. And Mark Kelly, I thought he had some great thoughts. Remember, he's military. He knows this stuff. Astronaut, former military, U.S. Senator. Here's from Mark Kelly on the firing of Mike Waltz.
Hey, everybody. Today, the president fired Mike Waltz, the national security advisor. I think they fired the wrong guy. They should have fired Pete Hegseth for his sharing of information, classified and sensitive information on that signal chain. But what really worries me here is, why did Mike Waltz get fired? Laura Loomer, internet troll, is claiming credit for this. Does she now get a say as to who our next national security advisor is? If that's the case, I think we should all be very, very concerned.
And I just want to remind you that Laura Loomer is a right-wing conspiracy theorist. I'm going to get to what she said, but let's recall for a second that the national security advisor position is extremely important, especially when we've got the issues in Gaza, the issues in Yemen, the issues in Ukraine, the created issues with Canada. So he says, and this tells you how little respect Trump has for little Marco Rubio. He has so little respect for him because he knows Big Balls is in charge, that he says, oh, we'll just put Mike Waltz over at the United Nations, which he dumped Elise Stefanik. She was going to get that. She sold her soul for that position. She didn't get it. We're going to put Mike Waltz at the United Nations. And then we're going to give little Marco national intelligence. We're going to replace National Security Advisor Michael Waltz with Marco Rubio, which tells you he doesn't give a shit about national security. He doesn't give a shit about expertise because he has demeaned and emasculated little Marco at every turn. So this is terrifying. But what Mark Kelly is referencing here on the Loomer, I'm going to play you a clip. She was on a podcast, and here is what Laura Loomer said about national security.
Other week, when you were able to, basically put in some suggestions that President Trump fire the national security apparatus, and your input outweighed the national security advisor, Mike Waltz. Did you express any concerns to him about Mike Waltz?
My concern was, if Michael Waltz is the NSC director or the NSC advisor, and he is saying that he's personally vetting these individuals who have a history of anti-Trump remarks and anti-Trump associations, why would he be signing off on them? And then it reminded me of a video that I've saved in my phone for many years of Michael Waltz on video speaking out against President Trump when he first ran for president, accusing him of being against service members. And so, I was about to show this video to President Trump, and then Michael Waltz, walked into the Oval Office. I could play the video. It just makes me wonder.
So when you went to that meeting,
play the video. Let's just play the video.
He essentially called anyone who was captured in combat a loser. It's something that I just personally can't stomach.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured.
Don't let Trump fool you. Look into his real record and stop Trump now.
He essentially called anybody captured in combat a loser. It's something that I just personally, can't stomach. So if you can't stomach it, why do you want to work for President Trump? If you can't stomach it, why do you want to work in the administration?
My question to Laura Loomer is, why can she stomach that? Why can she stomach the president of the United States calling captured military members losers? I mean, why can anybody stomach that? Why can all these national security, rah, USA, hump the American flag patriots stomach that? It is so gross and disrespectful. And here yesterday, after the firing of Michael Waltz, here's what we had. Laura Loomer.
Before we came on, I literally got a text from Laura Loomer saying, Loomered. I mean,
A verb.
A verb.
So
now a verb.
But she's verbing herself?
She's verbing herself.
Okay.
Yes.
So Laura Loomer, she is responsible for eating the cats, eating dogs. She got the national security advisor fired. Everyone should be terrified. Furthermore, everyone should be terrified that the reason Mike Waltz got fired was because he said anti-Trump things a while back. Well, he's incompetent. That's A. But the allegiance of these secretaries and the president of the United States, for that matter, should be to the United States. And it's always to Trump because this is fascism. This is authoritarianism. Stick with us. We're trying to get to 1 million subscribers, and we'll have more news soon.
Not surprised at all that they would choose to fire Mike Waltz instead of Pete Hegseth over that bullshit scandal thing. The only way that this is really going to get settled is if we just keep putting the pressure on that Pete Hegseth is unqualified, unfit for his job. If we keep hammering that home, maybe then they'll decide to fire him, okay? But they're trying to throw us, a bone, basically, by firing Mike Waltz, whom Trump didn't like anyway. So they're trying to throw us that. Maybe they figure it'll shut everybody up. Well, we don't want to shut up about this, okay? That's not the person that created this fucking problem here, okay? It was Pete Hegseth's big fucking mouth that leaked all this information out online, no less, to a lot of people who happen to be listening. Okay, and he's the guy that that needs to be fired. Not everybody else around him, but him. Okay, stop throwing us bones, Mr. Trump, and give us what we want. Okay, we want Pete's heads because we want Pete Hegseth's head on a fucking platter, and we want it now. Nobody in the military wants this guy in there doing what he's doing, okay? The military has already spoken. They don't like this guy. He betrayed them by what he did, and they just, hey, give them what they want, And then, of course, he puts Marco Rubio in his place, another guy Trump really doesn't like. So it'd be easy to fire him. It's like, Trump just hires people so he can fire them later, Christ. I can't imagine what working for that guy must have been like. I can't imagine. People are like trained to be having their lips glued to his ass because if they didn't do that, they'd probably get fired. They're so afraid to lose their job that they got to kiss his ass. And that's what he likes. And I think that's why all these people, these sycophants around him, go out and utter all the same shit he says. Because that's them publicly kissing Trump's ass to save their fucking job. Because if they came out and actually said what they really thought, they'd be fired the next day. So, that's what I'm getting here. So when you see Sham Bondi and Leave It and and Bennett or whatever the hell his name, how you pronounce his name, whenever you see these people out there talking and echoing Trump's bullshit, what they're really doing is they're kissing Trump's ass. That's what they're doing, saying, "I know he's watching, and I'm going to say all the right things, but I'm never going to tell anyone off the record." How I really think, because it's going to get back to him. They're all trying to protect their little jobs. Well, Pete Hegseth is one of the king ass kissers, I guess, because he doesn't want to lose his job, and in some way he managed to get Trump to fire Mike Waltz. Maybe it wasn't that big of a sell, because like I said, Mike came out back when Trump was the president, running for president the first time, how much he didn't like the guy, okay? And I imagine that stuck in Trump's craw. He's a vengeful little prick, That's why he still hates Obama, you know. He's been mad at him for years, ever since Obama humiliated him at that that dinner there. I can't remember. It was like in the last year of Obama's presidency, and he was invited to that thing, and a bunch of other people, a lot of people were there, and Obama was entertaining the guests, you know, by selling some jokes, and some of the jokes were about Trump and how, you know, he was making fun of Trump's accusation about Obama not being an American citizen. And Trump just sat there, and, you know, and he just boiled while everybody was laughing around him. That right there was that was it, okay? Obama knew what Trump was all about, and he rubbed his nose in it, okay? And hey, he had every right to, because everything Trump was saying about Obama back then was about racism, basically. He just didn't like Obama because he was black. He's got a history of not liking black people. So when you got a black man as president, yeah, a guy like Trump's going to be incensed to make stupid jokes and dumb accusations about the guy. Give me a break, you know? In this day and age, and of course, he's going to find a lot of people that are going to line up behind Trump and agree with him and echo the same stupid shit, you know? But that's what he did. And Obama is still standing tall. People still look at his presidency in much better lens than they look at Trump's, and that still pisses him off. Okay, he cannot rise above Obama no matter how much he tries. He can get rid of all the opposition he wants. He can export all the fucking people he hates. It's not going to change how he is as an individual. It's not going to make him any more loved, okay, than he thinks he is. I'm sorry, but the man. He has made his fucking bones in this world. His legacy stinks to high heaven, and when he leaves this world, that's what he's going to leave behind. And no one's going to shed a fucking tear for that son of a bitch when he dies. I can tell you right now, nobody's going to. Not even people that supported him are going to give a shit about him. Okay, they'll go around and say, "Oh, he was a great person." Yeah, they'll say that. But you think they're going to care? Really? No, they won't care. He's not liked. He's hated. He's probably the most hated man in the world right now. Even more so than Putin, maybe. Okay? Because at least you can expect the shit Putin's doing. Okay? But with Trump, you know, and an American president, I mean, people in other countries never would have expected that from Trump. I mean, they kind of knew what he was, but they never thought he was a fascist like this. I mean, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be surprised if you found swastikas inside of Trump's home. You know, I bet you there's probably a few things from the Nazi regime there, the former Nazi regime, paraphernalia or something. I bet his father must have bought and sold all kinds of shit that belonged to Nazi Germany. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised if he was mixed up in that in some nefarious way, in secret, you know. Who knows? I mean, you know, if there's anybody's skeletons that ought to be exposed in this world, it's got to be Trump's. I mean, you know, Epstein's dead, so there was nothing we can do to him except piss on his grave. But with Trump, he's still around. So if there's anybody whose skeletons need to come flying out of the goddamn closet, okay, it's his. We really stopped digging into his closet when he started running for president. Okay, we stopped for some reason. Before that, we were digging into his background and everything, and then all of a sudden, when it became possible that he was going to be a front runner for the Republican Party, all of a sudden that kind of stopped. And I'm telling you, there's a lot more there, a lot of unfinished things, a lot of stuff unsaid here, that, you know, a lot of stuff that needs to be said about this guy. I mean, he's got a lot of balls to sit there and talk about, you know, people that have committed crimes and ought to be deported. Like the fellow said, Christ, the guy, he ought to just stand front row in the line. He should be the first in line to get deported if he hates criminals so goddamn bad, because he's one of them. You know, he's the worst of them all. I mean, you compare any person that he claims he sent to El Salvador as criminal, the records that they supposedly had, he outclasses them. 50 crimes to their 1. Okay? He's the kingpin of crime in this country, and he ought to be the first one deported out of here and sent there. Fat bastard. You know, I think that's really what it is. And people shouldn't be distracted by what the Trump administration is doing right now by doing this campaign, by hitting all the fucking media outlets and saying how great the economy is and how the things that are wrong with it are because of Biden. You can't have it both ways. You can't say on one hand the economy is doing great under Trump and then say, oh, well, the reasons it's not doing so great is because of Biden. No, you can't say that. Okay? Those tariffs have already been enacted. The minute they're signed, it's enacted, okay? Because he jumps over the head of Congress and the Senate to do these things. So it doesn't take time for an executive order to be implemented. It happens like that. And these tariffs happened like that, okay? So it's not a delayed reaction. And we're not going through a period of bad times because of the Biden administration. Trump inherited an economy that was booming. Okay, and if Kamala Harris had been the president, she could have kept that going. She could have kept it going. But Trump didn't want that. He didn't want anything good from the Biden administration to exist while he was president. Okay, he wanted to make things more miserable because, hey, there's a benefit of it for the wealthy. He knew they wanted those fucking tax cuts renewed at the end of the year, so he's got to slash, cut, and burn every damn thing else so they can get those tax cuts. It kind of shows you how much of those tax cuts cost this country when he implemented them back in his first term. Okay? They were expensive. They were very expensive. And even though they were getting tax breaks like that, and they were still in play when Biden was in office, okay, Biden still managed to get our economy jump-started after COVID and got it going, even with those tax cuts in place. Okay, so don't tell me Biden, ruined this country. Don't fucking tell me that. Okay, for people in this country, they don't understand. Biden was doing things the right way as a president. He wasn't signing executive orders to do this, executive orders to do that, okay? He worked with the fucking elements of this government to get things done, okay? Sometimes it wasn't so easy because the right wing didn't want him to succeed at anything. But other times he got stuff done, okay, because he knew the art of compromise, all right? The art of the deal. He's the one that understands the art of the deal, not Trump. Trump is, well, he gives you an offer. If you don't take it, he walks away. That's not the way you do business. Okay? You sit down and you talk. You hammer out a fucking deal. You give and you take. But with, what Trump now and his sycophants out there trying to say, oh, everything, what's going on now, it's Biden's fault. Well, look, yesterday you were saying the economy was good, that the tariffs were working, that Trump was got 200 and some odd fucking deals he's got made with different countries, okay? That's what you were saying yesterday. Now you're saying, oh, well, it's Biden's fault. It can't be both, okay? You're telling us two different stories here, okay? It's like listening to somebody on TV who's trying to get themselves out of a fucking crime, talking to an investigator. They keep changing the story as they go, okay? Until they get to the truth. That's what you guys are doing. You're changing the story as you go, okay, to see what'll stick to the walls, to see what people will believe. Okay, we remember the earlier claims you made. Okay, now you realize it's not working. People don't believe you that the economy's doing well, so now you're just going to change your story. It's Biden's fault. Okay? Because now you can't convince people that the economy is doing good. Trump can't lie anymore about the economy because people don't believe it. We're seeing the numbers scrolling by on the fucking news feeds when you're watching the news, and the numbers are all in the fucking red. The economy can't be doing good and be in the red at the same time. Jesus. Like I said yesterday, UPS lays off 20,000 fucking workers. Centra, another one, they laid off a bunch of workers. Okay, these delivery companies, which only tells you that people aren't buying. You know, the economy is slowing to a crawl here. So if you order something online, chances are it's going to take you a little bit longer to get what you order because there's not as many people out delivering right now. Okay? They can't guarantee, you know, you're going to get something in a week's time. It might take 2 weeks instead, you know. So this is what we're looking at. And I played you a video this week of a trucker who's sitting here saying that the ports are practically just sitting there quiet. No boats. No, none of the trucks are getting loaded with stuff. They're just sitting there. And some of the companies are telling them, you know, stop, don't even bother going out to Los Angeles because the ports there's nothing there to pick up. You'd be driving back with nothing. So save gas and park your fucking trucks. Does that sound like the economy's doing good to you? No. Was this going on when Biden was president? No. Who's the president now? Donald Trump. Okay, so you own this, motherfucker. You own this shit. Your fucking tariffs is what changed everything in the world. That's what you did. People were telling you, don't do it, Trump. And you went ahead and did it anyway, because you don't like it when somebody tells you not to do something. You went ahead and implemented your fucking tariffs, and you ground the economy to a halt. Now we could be looking at all kinds of closures. Stores, jobs, layoffs, you know, all these kind of things are going to happen now for the rest of the year. By the end of the year, you know, what's going to be left? I don't know. I just feel like it's sad that, you know, we live in a world of our own creation, essentially. You know, we did this to ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot. I'm not saying that, you know, when, you know, things were perfect when Biden was president, but they sure as hell were better than they are now. Jesus. At least people had jobs. At least people were bringing home money. At least the cost of things was relatively stable. It wasn't, you know, outrageously high like it's going now. You know, Jesus. Depending on where you live, the differences are going to be stark to the Biden era and now. Small areas, maybe not so much, but in the fucking, you know, where the hustle and bustle is, like in the, you know, like the big cities, you're going to start to see some big changes there, you know, in places you never thought you'd see. And I was talking yesterday about Walmart and how 80% of what they sell in their stores comes out of China. What the hell's going to happen to that company when they're hit with tariffs like that, and they expect the customer who's looking for a bargain to go in there and get, you know, ripped off? They're not going to want that. They're not going to shop there anymore. That's a sure way to shut down a fucking store than anything else. Okay, that's a death nail to a store like Walmart. And like I said, you know, as we come to the end of the year, the closer we get to it, the level of anxiety and anger and desperation is going to quadruple, I dare say, okay? Especially with the young people trying to start off in life, okay? This is not good for them. It was already difficult in the first place to start off in life. Now it's going to be almost impossible. Okay, a lot of these people are just not going to be able to get out on their own. They're going to be stuck living at home with their parents and working to help, you know, ease off the expense of the parents having to have them stay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's and what are they talking about? As I watch a lot of these videos on YouTube, a lot of them are bitching about the cost of video games that are gonna, of course they're gonna go up. Okay. Right now, it's not as worrying about where you're going to get your next Xbox and your fucking video games is really beside the point. At this point, you shouldn't even be looking at that. If you got money to spend on that, then you should be hanging on to that, because you're going to need every dime of that in the next in the months to come. You're going to need every dime you can that you was going to throw and spend on a fucking video game. You're not going to be able to do that now. Okay, forget it. I don't care what happens to Sony and all these other companies in there. It's not going to happen. Nobody should be paying $400 for a fucking video game for an Xbox. I'm sorry, but that's like cutting your dick off and shoving it up your ass. I mean, come on, give me a break. You people that are complaining you ain't got money to feed yourself, well, you know, $300 or $400 can go a long ways to buy food. Which is more important? You get a few hours of fun, you know, like that, or, you know, or buy some food where you can survive. Okay? So really, it kind of pisses me off that you got companies like them are sitting here bitching about, oh, that price of this is going to go. Who's going to be able to afford that now? It's out of our reach. All right, hold on a second. All right, so anyway, that's it for today, I guess. And let's, maybe tomorrow we'll find something else here. So in the meantime, subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for any health-related issues. And, you know, work with your neighbors to try and, you know, make it through these times. They'll be difficult. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great Friday, great weekend. Take care.